Let's listen to God's holy word. As Jesus passed along the Sea of Galilee, he saw Simon and his brother Andrew casting a net into the sea, for they were fishermen. And Jesus said to them, "Follow me, and I will make you fish for people." And immediately they left their nets and followed him. As he went a little further, he saw James, son of Zebedee, and his brother John, who were in their boat mending the nets. Immediately he called them, and they left their father Zebedee in the boat with the hired men and followed him. This is the word of our Lord. Thanks be to God. If you don't mind, I'm going to take a moment here and put this metal on my neck. No big deal, just ran 26.2 miles yesterday. Humility is my greatest asset. There is this old man joke amongst fishermen that my wife, Julie, hears time and time again. So tell me if you've heard this before. She works with the Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife, so part of her job is to interview fishermen once they come up after their day of fishing. So as the fishermen are returning from their day of fishing, she'll ask how the fishing is going that day. And they will respond about how they didn't catch much that day. At this point, the setting has been established for the fishermen, with hours of preparation after sitting on this boat all morning long to deliver the punchline. Well, you know, they call it fishing for a reason. If it was about catching fish all day, they'd call it catching. And at this point, they usually laugh out loud, very proud of their witty remark. And my wife will laugh along with them, internally counting the number of times she has heard that joke that day. They call it fishing for a reason. What compels a person to get up early in the morning, drive hours in the diminishing dark of dawn, sit on a boat in the cold for a few hours, and eventually return, more times than not without a thing to show for one's effort? If you ask your average person on the streets of Portland, they may look at you with confusion and perhaps a bit of fear as you describe the routines and rhythms of a fisherman or fisherwoman, fisher person. But if you ask a fisherman why they do what they do, their eyes light up. It's the same look we all get when someone asks us about our favorite hobby or our activity, our passion. I just paid money to run 26.2 miles yesterday. Most people would call that torture. And I loved every moment of that experience, especially the 6 months of preparation up to that point, with the pain and the fatigue and the body aches that come along with it. My eyes light up at just thinking about the next time I'll be able to put on some running shoes and head out for the next trail. So what is it that makes your eyes light up? What is your passion? And now here's something extra for us to think about today. Ever wonder how your passion in life can better the world around you? Now, Jesus was not an ODFW employee, but he did know a thing or two about fishing growing up in Galilee. So when he approached Simon and Andrew and James and John a little later on, he knew what these young men were experiencing in life, especially trying to make a profession living as fishermen. He knew there was more fishing than catching. Being a fisherman was hard work. But he also knew what it looked like to see someone's eyes light up when asked about something that was part of their very being. And in a way that seemed like Jesus only knew how, he approached these young men, engaged them in their daily lives, doing what they loved, and shared with them the good news that they can continue to do what they love while being part of something amazing in realizing God's kingdom here on earth. Did they know exactly what this all meant? Well, no. But there was something moving within this moment some 2,000 years ago that still moves within this world today. I like to think of it as the Holy Spirit leading Jesus to find the words he used, and the Holy Spirit leading these young men to open themselves to such an opportunity. And Jesus said to them, "Follow me, and I will make you fish for people." And immediately, they left their nets and followed him. What does it mean to discover what you love to do in this world, and then discover that you can use this passion to better the world around you? We talk about passion, we understand that, but how do we combine our passions with God's love for the world, you may be asking? Some call this vocation. And Parker Palmer, a Quaker writer and educator, would recall his own experiences of this notion of vocation. And he wrote this in a book that continues to influence my life today. He says, "Today I understand vocation, not as a goal to be achieved, but as a gift to be received. Discovering vocation does not mean scrambling towards some prize just beyond my reach, but accepting the treasure of true self I already possess. Vocation does not come from a voice out there, calling me to become something I am not. It comes from a voice in here, calling me to be the person I was born to be, to fulfill the original selfhood given me at birth by God." I wonder if this is what these young men, as fishermen, discovered when Jesus came into their lives that fateful day. I wonder if they realized that what they were being called towards was not something out there, like the boats they would see on the distant horizon each day, but instead, in here, within their very beings. Today we celebrate this very same call within our lives. Today we ordain and install individuals who have been called by God to use their gifts, their passions and dreams to better the life of this congregation and to help realize God's kingdom here on earth. After all, vocation is not just about how we spend our professional years in our jobs and our careers, but how we embrace God's calling in our daily living. Let it be known, this is not easy work. Ministry is not something that just happens without energy, intelligence, imagination, and love, to borrow the words in the Book of Order. After all, they call it serving for a reason. If it was about sitting around, they'd call it receiving. So let this be my invitation to all of us being ordained and installed today, and to each and every one of us here in the sanctuary this morning. May we bring our unique gifts, talents, hobbies, and passions, and allow God to transform them to this better world around us. Today, let us be reminded that God uses the very thing that makes our eyes light up, and calls us to use such passions and gifts in this world to realize God's kingdom here on earth. We all have a vocation. We all have a calling. May we be courageous enough to leave our nets, to follow Him, and to discover the wonderful plans God has for us in our lives. And all of God's people said, Amen.